Welcome back. So here's a question for you. What gets you going to do your best work? What are the triggers that you can use in order to click yourself in to be your best you? We all get up every day and make our way to our first appointment or to our desk, and then what? Well, we just seem to begin doing things, don't we? Answering questions, returning emails, all the usual stuff, and very often we're straight into autopilot. But there are days when we seem to just fly out of our beds. We take no prisoners. We're just on form and hitting all the marks. What is different about these days that is the trigger that will get you performing better more often? That's the question that you need to consider. Now, I recognise you can't be a superstar every day. I mean, for a start, your co-workers will just have you kidnapped, bundled up and sent off to a distant, uninhabited Pacific island. And secondly, life is about rhythms. You simply can't optimise every single second in the service of your career. Life's more like a tide. It goes in and goes out. So it's best to roll with those rhythms rather than try to fight against them. For me, my trigger, the thing that gets me going every day, is if I start with a period of quiet reflection and then getting the chance to learn something new or teach something. These are the things that really make a good day for me. Conversely, days when I'm in endless meetings or involved in the weeds of finance discussions, these are the days that I'd prefer to forget, no matter how valuable they may actually be in reality. So over the next couple of weeks, what I'd like you to do is to observe your own good days and bad days and work out what buttons you push on the good days and then forget to push on the bad ones. You'll get to know yourself better then, and you can actually force yourself to push those buttons on the days that would have been bad otherwise and turn them into better days. Very often it will be your morning routine that sets up the entire day. And my suggestion is to make sure that you have some time during your morning routine to connect with yourself. Just remind yourself what a great person you are, or how lucky you are, how hard you're trying, and what successes you're having. It's the sort of thing that a caring parent or a coach would tell you as you set off to conquer the world, if we could all afford to have a 24-hour coach sitting on our shoulder. Okay, you found out what it is that triggers you to have the best day possible. After that, life's easy, isn't it? Well, not quite. There's one thing that can get in the way of you being able to trigger yourself to have wonderful days more often than not. And that's when you have a problem with values. If you've got a conflict of values between yourself, what you believe is right, and what your customer organisation believes right, or even worse, what the company for whom you're selling believes is right, then that's going to destroy your triggers more often than not. Now, normally, it's not seen as a very thorny subject for sales professionals. And that's simply because the lure of the sale over the prospect of temporarily suspending your own ethical values is quite easy to decide. We all go for the money every single time. Where it does become a problem, however, is in business-to-business selling, where the relationship with the customer is often developed over years, and you'll be working with the same people in the customer organisation for a very long time. If you really can't stomach the practices of a potential customer, then my advice is exit early, before the decision just becomes harder and harder to make. Ask yourself if you can look yourself in the eyes as you check your hair before you leave the house every morning. That's the main check I use. And if you can, then fine, keep working with that customer. If you can't, then you know what to do. A bigger problem still is whether you share the ethical values of the company you work for and for whom you're selling. There's no chance that you can give of your best if you don't like your own company. So for me, this is a much more straightforward decision. You just need to find another job. Customers can spot a phony for a mile off for a start, so you'll never really achieve your full potential if you don't believe in what you're selling and for whom you're selling. And the mirror test that we just talked about is magnified every time you meet a colleague and realise that you've got something fundamentally not in common with them. Okay, so now we know our triggers and we know what can get in the way of the triggers. Sales careers are made one step at a time, one day at a time. They're not planned out like a road trip. And you'll need to keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities with customers and potential employers as you go through life. Knowing your own strengths and values and your optimal working environment, the things that trigger you to do your best work, so you get to where you can be your best, these are the fundamentals of self-knowledge.